Hey, what's up, you guys? It's a podcast. Haven't had one of those in a while, and haven't talked to these people in a while either. Well, except Aaron. So, in this podcast, we're going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals 2013. That's the year this is, right? So, yeah. In today's podcast, we've got Mason. Say
Yo,
hi to the digital audience, Mason.
hi.
We've got Jared. Say hi to the digital audience.
What it do, yo?
And we've got Aaron for some reason. He's never in these. Hey, Aaron.
Uh,
All right, so we're gonna talk about nationals. Let's go on ahead and start by saying that a lot of people have come to the consensus that there are basically four capable decks right now. That's usually how these nationals tend to kind of boil down to about three or four decks that are in a sort of circle with each other. I mean, I wouldn't call this really a circle since there aren't. Oh, actually, what do I know? So the question here is, um, which of the four decks is there a tier list right now between these four decks, or are they
they're all
all?
tier one.
They're all tier one. They're
Yep.
so I mean,
Each deck has their matchups against each other. That's basically.
yeah, Jared, would you agree that they're just kind of all equal and
I wouldn't say equal, but they're all tier one.
I wouldn't say equal. I'll say they're all great decks. Um, yeah, and each deck has this different race that it can just explode. Some you have to wait a turn to build up. Some you can just end the game in one turn. So it really just depends on the matchup, what they're playing. But I think they're all tier one. Some may be close to tier zero.
yeah, Aaron, what about you? I mean, do you think that these are kind of equal decks, or do you think they're all just good but in different ways, or?
I agree with the other people. They're not equal, but they're all just really good decks against each other.
Yeah, so I mean, let's break this down one by one in terms of like each deck's sort of matchups against the others, chances at nationals. We'll start with the deck that everybody seems to, well, they used to fear it. I don't know if they still do. Is dragons? I mean, what are dragons' chances at nationals based on the builds people are playing, how well they're doing? Mason, what are your thoughts on that deck?
Which what dragons?
Yeah,
Like they're good. Like they're good, but they're so linear. They're so predictable, and like uh, a fate can destroy their day. I mean, like evil swarms just lock them down.
yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of people say that dragons are difficult mainly because of their steam and not necessarily any particular play. It's just the fact that they can make the plays, repeatedly. Make a Draco sack. Next turn, make another one if they need to, or a big eye if they need to, and then keep doing it turn over turn over turn, and never really losing much out of it. I mean, Jared, how about you? I mean, like, what are your thoughts on dragons? Are they the tier zero that everybody thought they were, or?
Um, okay, dragons are a good deck. Don't get me wrong. But they don't have enough options. They're really easy to side against. There's a lot of cards. You have deck lockdown, which stops something from the deck. You have goes a match, which really hurts the deck, and they don't have a lot of ways to really get away with this main deck to get around those cards beyond siding. And the problem with siding with those decks is it there's not a whole lot that you can take out that, and if you do, it's gonna mess up with the consistency of the deck. It's a good deck because it can put a rank 7 on board easily and can put over 5,000 damage in one turn really easily. But outside of just straight damage, there's not a lot of there's not a big surprise factor with what you can do with the deck. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree with that. From my experience playing it, I mean, like, it's still a really good deck. It's still really, it's got like pressure, but at the same time, you pretty much know everything that can, come out of one of their turns. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of made it.
Really, the best play it has is just the lad opening play, which makes your opponent burn resources. But outside of that, you can play around Draco Sack, and you can play around Big Eye.
Yeah, Aaron, what are your thoughts on dragons? I mean, like, do you think it's as vicious as maybe we initially thought, or?
I think dragons are really, really, really good. and they just have that everlasting plays. But they kind of have a rough time against Evilswarm, and Prophecy's first turn play can just kind of shut them down. So like they're good against everything when they're going first, and then when they're not, it can be hard if they're dueling Evilswarms or Prophecy.
Yeah, and then you've also said in the past that a lot of their advantage or well their win factor comes more from their spells and their hand traps than the actual dragons themselves. So to explain it kind of like how that works to you.
Like if they don't have super rejuvenation and they use 2 babies to like get a Drago sack out there, then they only have 2 cards in hand. And if one's a hand trap, then they have 1 card in hand technically, and they can't really come back with too much advantage to win.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed is like Jared said, it's really easy to play around like Draco. Not easy, sorry, but I mean like it's possible to play around Draco Sacks and Big Eyes. Something I always feel like really helps the dragons more than those cards is just the hand traps, the Veilers, the Maxi. The Maxi is to replenish the advantage, and the Veiler whenever you're trying to do something to say counter the Big Eye, counter the
I
Draco
just don't
Sack.
think dragons are a deck without their rejuve or their big eye. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow rejuve and big eye went to 1, the deck wouldn't exist.
Yeah, that's
And
something I've. Go ahead.
yeah, one thing I've noticed about the deck where it's getting the most play is it's splashing it in other decks to make easier rank sevens, whether it's Mermails
A lot of
and
the
That's what
redox
they
and
should
title
be for,
decks are
anyways.
yeah.
yeah. A lot of the redox and the title decks, they're really they're like scarier sometimes than
In
dragons
next
because like
format, you'll see more blaster play simply because 3 axis will be okay.
not to mention I mean like the title slushy frogs and stuff like that. It's really
Yeah.
it's really good. Um, I mean, so how is dragons match up against prophecy specifically? A lot of you have said that prophecy has like a well-timed fate can usually shut off dragons'
All time
turns and
fake Haiku, Jaugen. I mean, there's a whole bunch of variables there.
yeah, Aaron, what about you? I mean, you're on DN a lot. What are your thoughts on that matchup? Is it
I
like in whose favor is it?
I think it's in the Prophecy player's favor just because the way the deck like works, they can just special summon a Jaugen, and that's just gonna shut them down. And
And their
Kaiku,
super rejuve is searchable,
yeah,
aka
Yeah.
refreshment.
yeah, and they can plus more than dragons on 1 turn.
Yeah, I feel like plussing is like really key because I mean, dragons can like they either plus a lot or they really don't plus at all, and it's really obvious when like they're not plussing. It's like easy to go in is what I've figured out. Like when they're not plussing and when they had to like pitch 2 babies like you said, and then they've only got 2 cards in hand and a Draco sack. It's if you like if you just like act then and use like a fade or a Jowgen or something, it's usually a good game. Jared, what are your thoughts on the Prophecy Dragon matchup?
I mean, just the first turn play kills them. You play Spellbook of Secrets, Masters, Tower, and maybe if you have the Hall, and then play Judgment after that. What they're gonna do? Jowgen's not only gonna be beefed up, but you also have Fate to protect them. So they really don't have a play that's strong enough to get past it. The only thing they can do is summon. You fade it. Okay, sir, it's time to pick up your cards. The game's over now,
And
and it's really that simple.
that is true. It's a lot of well, that's kind of what you can say about a lot of matchups these days. Is once the board hits a certain state, it's just good game. Now how about the Mermail matchup for dragons? A lot of people say that that's definitely one that's more in dragons' favor because well, what do you guys think of that?
Unless you can squeeze out an early Gaios.
Yeah, I've heard things like that. I've heard that
If you
Gaius is
squeeze out an early Gaios and they don't have the blaster play, dragons are in trouble.
yeah, Gaius has the bigger attack and then negate the effects. So Big Eye and Draco Sack become essentially useless against it. Aaron, how about you? I mean, how do you view that matchup?
Um, Pretty much what Mason said. If like Mermails go first and make a Gaios, then dragons have a big problem. But dragons have more steam and can make rank
Well,
sevens a little more consistently. Not by much, but they can. And just that steam and super rejuve, just they can outplay Mermails.
Yeah, I see it's something like that. I feel like the Mermail Dragon matchup, like, I guess, like, on the whole, I would give it to Dragons, but Abyss Gaios seems like it's becoming, like, really key for Mermails right now. And so they're dropping it more often, like, even when, just kind of against everything in general, is something I've seen, like, as a trend, because it helps even, like, it's like, Evil Swarms and stuff like that. Jared, how do you view, like, the Mermail Dragon matchup? Who would you say, which deck has the advantage there?
Uh, that's a really hard question. Now, I mean, because keep in mind that dragons really can put a Gaius on the board too. And just ram it and then go into another play. But not well. They can make synchros, and this powerhouse exceeds to deal with what water can't. Really, water only has maybe 4 or 5, and then if people still run squall, they can go into a couple more plays. But the water engine really runs out of steam quicker than what dragons do. So it really just depends on what happens turn one if dragons don't go first.
I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
I think the game like comes down to where who makes the Crimson Blader first.
Yeah,
Like what Mermails can do, like Gund is a card. Okay, Gund is the shit. Like if you like Gund into and you play like Mermail players are usually playing 2 to 3 Valor now. If you like Megalo Gun for another big monster, and you go in for the attack, like you just summon your Valor, synchro with any level 7 that you just summoned, and go into Crimson Blader, run over their monster, and then like attack him for 48 with Megalo. It's gonna hurt, and they have no out. Like they're just gonna lose next turn because Crimson Blader is that much of a factor.
Yeah, and I feel like Crimson Blader, like, I mean, I know dragons, they can go into it really easily. So I think that that is a good, a pretty true assessment is whoever goes into Crimson Blader gets the attack off. It's usually, I mean, and especially when you consider that, like, Crimson Blader doesn't have to send the card to the grave. So when dragons have Draco Sack
Oh
out,
no, it does.
oh, it does? Oh, which
You
one is
can't
it that
attack a
doesn't?
token.
Oh, it can't? Okay, which
yeah.
Uh,
must have been thinking something else. Okay, I was gonna say that would have made Dragosack a little less popular in that matchup because otherwise, I think Dracosack kind of steers that more toward the dragon side because Dracosack's like kind of a problem for Mermail.
Yeah, and then the only other problem with dragons is for them to make Crimson Blader first turn, they have to go through a lot of their cards to do it.
I think Mermails.
Versus, yeah,
Go
versus
ahead.
with Mermails, you don't lose nearly as much hand advantage whenever you make any play.
And it's true. And then the next matchup is kind of a bit of a
But before we go there, me and Aaron been talking, and like in that matchup, what is key for like nowadays? What is key for a Mermail player against dragons is I think Econ is a very noteworthy card right now.
Econ
Yeah,
Yeah.
is clutch.
Econ is dirty. Like if they have like a big eye and they took all your monsters, they couldn't kill you. You summon any monster, Econ their big eye to take their big eye, to take their Drago sack, and you just basically won the game.
That's true. Yeah, Econ is clutch. It's something that not many people like. I remember like a few people here and there used it before, and I guess. Do you think that like that's not really a commonly known thing? Like it's something that maybe people only maybe the creative people might be using it Nats, but not necessarily everybody. Or
Like people are just gonna go cookie cutter on the deck right now, and like people, a lot of people are gonna forget Econ
right?
because you have to get innovative with it because Dark Hole is not that good of a card right now, and Pot of Avarice isn't that good of a card right now because most Mermail players right now are playing maybe 2 to 3 spells in their whole deck.
Yeah, I've noticed that Dark Hole really doesn't mean much. Like partly because everything is invincible these days. Like half the stuff can't die, and then
I
that.
mean, it doesn't matter if you Dark Hole anyways because they're gonna
Yeah,
rebuild their board next
yeah,
turn.
it's so easy to rebuild fields too. Now, I guess the next matchup's kind of plain and boring is Dragons versus Evil Swarms. Most people pretty much just say if Ophion comes out and Dragons don't immediately have Blaster, then it's kind of, pick up your cards. Is there more to this matchup than that, though? Like, I mean, Aaron, what are your thoughts on that?
A first turn Ophion hurts dragons a lot. Uh, if they don't have the blaster, then they better have a breakthrough skill. And if they don't have either of those, then yeah, I'd pretty much say Evil Swarm's got it.
You haven't seen people playing Exploder Dragon lately? Like Exploder Dragon's
I
a
haven't
real
seen any
card.
main decked. I've seen it sided.
Oh, so
Like in
people are
the
playing that?
European Nationals, like I saw a dude main deck triple Exploded Dragon.
That's interesting. That's something I haven't heard, and that actually sounds like a really, really good out. Like something that some people have been noting is that, what used to make Evil Swarms really scary, not as big of a deal now, is Infestation. The Lance card or whatever it's called, Pandemic.
Epidemic virus, yeah.
I don't know. That card's still kind of fucking.
No,
Yeah,
that card's
yeah.
real.
That
Well, no,
card's
this.
real, man.
Oh, okay, yeah. Some people have been saying that it doesn't have as much effect on the
You
game
know what's
now.
better than the spell card? The trap card.
The
That
trap, I
trap
think,
card
yeah,
is
the trap, I
stupid.
think, is better than the spell.
Oh my
It's the
god.
best card in the deck.
Because nobody plays MST anymore. That trap card is a Stratos every turn. Every turn.
Yeah, especially, I mean, like the way
Because you
I
just go
see it.
Kirkion, remove, add to hand, trap card, the dead card that you just added from grave to hand, get another get another Kirkion or something. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
Yeah.
stupid.
yeah. It's like pluses. I mean, like, and then the spell isn't as good. Some people have said the spell isn't as good because people aren't really using spells to get rid of any problems, except for like breakthrough skills, sort of. But I mean, other than that, like
That
Dark.
card is a Shockmaster enabler. It's so stupid. The trap card.
Yeah, so maybe the trap is more. Jared, I mean, between in that matchup, Dragon's Evil Swarm, is it just kind of Ophion turn one equals, pick up your cards, or is
Yep.
there anything else maybe
Uh,
to it?
Elfion turn one is a problem, regardless of, because they really don't have any other outs except the blaster. And if they have the, breakthrough skill, even if they get it turn two, if they already have the
Once the
pandemic virus, then,
right,
it doesn't help.
once the Evil
So,
Swarm field starts kind of just setting up, it's kind of done. I mean, I don't think there really is like much more to that.
Oh, and by the way, Lad can't save you anymore. Because do you know how they roll breakthrough skill versus Lad? If breakthrough skill's in your graveyard, you can remove it and Lad cannot negate it, and you will negate the Lad, and you can big eye that Lad as your Lad now.
oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how that's rolled because breakthrough skill doesn't activate. When it's in the graveyard, it's active. You just use the card. You don't activate it.
That's
Okay,
interesting.
so basically they ruled it the
It's like a
same way as they
continuous.
did
It's
that.
like it's
I
like it's
mean,
being a continuous spell on the board, basically.
oh wow.
That's how it's being treated.
So, moving on to I guess the next deck. This is kind of a simpler one to talk about. Is Prophecy. Just as a quick recap, I'm not actually sure on these facts. What is the most popular Prophecy build right now? Aaron, I know,
Shit,
like,
all of them.
yeah, I know most people just play whatever they want. I mean, like, I know for a time Toon Table was supposed to be a big deal. Then the Upstart Goblins, and then Mason was just showing me something with what was it? Like then there are like the bills that don't run Priestess, and the bills that only run like one or two Priestess because
Because like if you're on
Ophion.
Priestess, you're just gonna get donked on by fucking Ophion.
I mean, so with Prophecy, I've always kind of seen it in a weird light because it's one of the decks like it's really sacky because you can just do the whole blue
But it's really
judgment blah blah
fragile.
blah, but yeah, it's really fragile. Like it can open horribly. Like it can open of the four decks, probably the worst of the four decks. And I mean, when it opens like good, I think it's kind of can sack any of the other three. But what are you guys' general thoughts on Prophecy right now?
Evil
Like,
Swarm is like 95 to 5 win rate against that fucking deck. Because what can they do? Like you have Pandemic, they can't fate you. There's nothing that player can do to you.
that's true. um, so I mean, like Prophecy's matchup versus Evil Swarms, then would you guys say it's more or less pretty?
It's Evil Swarm rate. That's what that
Yeah,
is.
Evil Swarm's got that matchup kind of just right.
Mhm.
Now, how
And
about? Oh, go ahead.
and that's why another reason I'll say that pandemic virus is still a great card because
Oh, and
it
their main
really
deck
can.
Eradicator.
Oh yeah, which is
And if
disgusting.
you like, if they activate Fate and you spell card it off and they activate another Fate, you just chain Epidemic Virus and then you just destroy their whole deck. Like they just lose.
Yeah, Eradicators. It cleans off the matchup. It's done. There's not. How is Prophecy versus Mermail? Like, a lot of people say that's pretty easily Prophecy's favor. From my
I
experiences,
know.
I think it's like
I,
even.
I I don't see that. I
A
mean,
Mermail player will beat Prophecy's ass. A good Mermail player.
I think what makes it threatening to me, like when I play Prophecy, is Mermail can like OTK really easy. And so like if you're playing Prophecy and like you
Have
make
you
your
played against Tidal Mermail?
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Mermail
Tidal just comes out of nowhere and just beats your ass.
yeah, like Mermail can OTK really fast. So if you're playing like Prophecy and you don't like you're doing your little first setup turn, like if you don't cover your tracks really well, Mermails can they OTK really easy.
They'll bait your fate and win the game.
yeah, I'm about to say Fade is the only problem that they will run into, and once that's gone, it's open season.
Because Priestess doesn't mean anything to Mermail.
The self will come in.
Yeah, Aaron, how do you view that matchup? I mean, if you had to give it a I don't know.
I actually think that's more 50-50-ish. I can't see it in anyone's favor because prophecies are just sacky.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to gauge a deck that can just kind
Like
of
Mermail's
sack.
can OTK them, but prophecy can just advantage hardcore Jowgen, which isn't going to stay on there long.
Like Jowgen isn't gonna stay. It's not like against other decks.
Well, I know, but like Jowgen set Fate is going to start. That's going to be a problem.
That
This
is
fear is a card, dude.
You can't use a Bisphere.
I mean, but Pike is still. I mean, it's still good enough.
That Pike heavy infantry, Fate's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And then okay, I lost a Pike, but I destroyed the monster, and I get to
And I
search.
gotta search for the fucking gun I'm about to rape you with.
You know, so even though you stop one play, I'm still gonna OTK you this turn. I mean, yeah, it's great in theory. You had to have all those
And
top cards at the
and
right
Mermail
time.
runs 3 heavy infantry now, so it's just like whatever.
I don't know. I kind of agree with Aaron though. Like sometimes spellbooks do have those the I win hands. Like I don't know. I mean like like Mermails like can OTK them, but at the same time like spellbooks can do that like I win hand where they get so much advantage that if you say didn't OTK them like with Mermails that first opportunity you got, then it could pretty easily become like an issue.
I mean, I understand that portion of it, but if just looking at the turn one play, there is no play that they have that's solid enough to stop Mormills from coming back and is completely destroying everything that they have on the field.
Because
Now,
what are you
true
gonna do?
enough,
Just set Fate? They're just gonna marksman the shit out of it.
yeah, and true enough, even if they just, you know, have a full hand, if you don't kill them, yes, can be a fight after that. But there is no setup that they can have that will just stop you from making a play. Versus if you're playing
Dragons where
dragons,
Jowgen is
you
the
have
shutdown.
Jowgen, double fade, and there is nothing that deck can do. Period.
Yeah, Jowgen, Kaiku, stuff like that. So it's a
Yeah.
little. And so since we've more or less kind of already touched on the Dragon Prophecy matchup, more or less saying this kind of Prophecy's favor, um, so then it sounds like we've got a little more mixed view about Prophecy's chances against the other decks. I mean, I guess we'll sort of touch more on that overall at the end, but so do you guys think then that Prophecy's not likely to be able to have a strong performance at Nats then?
I mean, Prophecy's gonna
Well, they
all
will.
their decks are gonna have a strong showing. I think a lot of it's gonna have to do with all the rogue matchups that they have, and just
I think Mermails are gonna see an increase in play because the newly released Megalo reprint.
yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I just read about that a few hours ago. So, um, now the next deck is Mermails. We've kind of already talked a lot about them, but what is Mermails like? What are Mermails today, Mason? I mean, you guys.
Spam sack mode activate. Like I think they're better than they ever were.
Yeah, I know Title's sort of considered standard
Like
right
title
now.
is the nuts, man. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, so what is sort of the standard build right now? Since I'm kind of ignorant right now about the game.
And I was at Houston Regional. I was just like beasting on people with title. It was just like I played against Dragon Rulers and they just couldn't handle the Mermail.
Okay, just because like I haven't played that deck. I haven't really played against it. 'Cause I've been pretty much on DN. How much advantage does how many more plays does title give you within the baby
Holy
title?
shit! It opens the whole deck. It's just like if you have a Megalo, a title, and something else. Like if you have a Megalo title and like a Dragoons or something, you just won the game. Because you discard the even like stream is better to open than title because you can make sacky plays. You just go stream. Like you send stream Dragoons, you're gonna special summon the title from your deck, and then get the Megalo search. It makes turn one Gaios very much possible. And like the free 2600 attack, if you just summon it into attack in, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like I would have dead hands, like I would have no hand at all, be top decking. I could just keep removing every turn to summon title from grave and push to 26.
Okay.
So, Aaron, I mean, what are your thoughts on Mermails right now? Some people have said it's like it's dying off, and some people are saying it's coming back, and some people
It's
just
just
say,
lost the bandwagon.
Yeah, I don't think it's died off at all. I just think less people are playing it. It's still like just as good as back then, just now with competition.
yeah, so maybe it has to work a little more to.
Yeah, they have something to work for now.
You can't just play the deck and win though.
So, in terms of matchups, we've kind of already touched on its dragon matchup, but I mean, anything maybe noteworthy that we might have left out about Mermails
Okay,
versus
Mermail against
dragons?
Evilswarm is little more in Mermail's favor than you would think.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I've learned that I would call that like 50-50 is like even with Ophion out because
yeah.
I've seen
Without
Ophion's
Ophion out,
with
it's
yeah
like 90-10, like for real.
yeah
Mermail's
when
will just
Ophion
destroy
doesn't
them.
drop I feel like Mermail it's really easy to win and even when Ophion does like there are a lot of
Heavy infantries.
yeah I mean heavy
Or
infantries and
Diva
now that's like
shenanigans.
and now it's run at 3 and so it's like I don't know I mean that and the side deck is like getting
And
really
Title's
versatile
another
too.
out. Title with heavy infantry is another out besides Pike.
Oh you mean like stream infantry?
Yeah, stream infantry or title infantry because you can use title's effect to send a monster from deck to grave.
Oh yeah that too. So, I mean, so is it? So Evil Storm really isn't a thing that Mermos have to worry about anymore. Then, or well, I guess you should worry about
Really.
it. But
Because it's 50-50 in the first game, and then you side deck, and then it's just a lot more in your favor.
what
Mhm.
are Evil Storm siding against Mermos? Does anybody know?
I would assume deck lockdown
Well, they're
and
siding
probably fissures.
Macrocosmos.
Yeah, I mean of course macros and defissures.
Yeah, and with less MSTs in play, is that maybe an issue for Mermos?
No, because they side in triple MST.
Fair enough. Aaron, what are
And
your?
they're Imperial Iron Walls and shit like that.
Yeah, Imperial Iron Wall is a really
Like
big
Imperial
thing
Iron
now.
Wall versus Prophecy is so good.
It's a shutdown card. At least well, like it makes it where all their spells aren't really meaning anything. Like I mean, like they can play them,
Like
but
their
when you
advantage
can't
doesn't mean
fate,
anything at all.
yeah, when they can't fate and use priestess, it's like dead
They can be
to me.
+5 on you, and you're still winning because Imperial Iron Wall is that good of a card.
Yeah, the only thing that really helps them is the spellbook of power. Once you get through all three of those,
And so the last deck is Evil Swarms. It's always hard to gauge Evil Swarms matchups because it always boils down to if Ophion drops turn one or not. So I mean, like I guess it's tough to like put a matchup in favor or not in favor of them. But what would you guys say about Evil Storm's chances and Nats in comparison to
Are
the
we
other
going with the
three?
optimal build of Evilswarm, like the fucking like Ophion Turbo build, or
Figure that was all of them.
like,
Yeah.
like some decks are running like really like terrible fucking cards. Like, I mean, like you have to run the three of every Evilswarm, and you just have to go for it. You can't just be running these tech cards that you think are good.
Yeah, that's always been a thing with Evil Storms to me is like they're always just every build's always running just all these different spell supports, all these different trap supports. It doesn't feel consistent, but I mean,
Because
as
if you run the
always.
optimal build of Evilswarm, you'll probably open Ophion 85% of the time.
So Evil Storms versus Dragons then I mean we kind of talked about it like I said, but Ophion means you pretty much win. No Ophion though. Can Evil Swarms even stand up to dragons at all without the Ophion on the board?
If dragons go first, it's Dragosack GG.
Sounds yeah. I mean, I was figuring Jared, Aaron.
pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Mashup roulette. How and prophecy seems to be about the same.
It's a shutout.
Yeah, I mean like Ophion turn 1 is just
Like, even Ophion turn 2 because they have to set up.
yeah, that's true. Prophecy
And
does
you just
take that one
pandemic
turn
it off.
setup. And then like you've also got the Eradicator thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is just win, hand out free wins. So then, and since we know that Mermail Evilswarm is kind of a lot more even than everybody used to think, it's what. With all of this said, which deck do you guys think has the best chance at Nats? It's sounding like Mermail's from the general tone, but
Mermails have a really good matchup across the board. It's just like we don't have the numbers of people playing
yeah,
it.
people don't. Why do you guys think maybe people don't feel comfortable playing Mermails if their matchups are so solid right now?
It's the bandwagon effect. It's like something new comes out, like, oh, 3 Drago Sack, gotta play it,
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Aaron, do you think that why do you think people aren't really playing Mermails?
Yeah, pretty much the hype with every other deck is like over. It has more hype than Mermails do because Mermails aren't as new and people are just dropping them for the new deck.
And like, if you look at the people's side decks right now, nobody are signing for Mermails. Like, Mermails could be a dark horse pick for Nationals.
That's kind of scary to think about. I always see Mermails as like the deck that should see the most play because it's been out the longest. So there's almost like no reason why you can't pick up a copy of Mermails. Now that Megalo got the reprint, it's just like I mean Dragon
Well, the bad thing about the new Mermail deck is, if you're gonna play the optimal build of Mermails,
oh yeah, you do
you're
have
gonna
to
have to
have
have
yeah,
a couple
Drago
big
right.
eye, the one Drago Sack.
Right. But still, that's easier to play than Dragons.
Yeah, it is. It is easier to play than Dragons. And
So I mean,
Dragons,
and then even at that point, it's easier to play than spellbooks too, price wise. So
Yeah, price wise. I mean, I think everybody just wants to jump on the big deck, which is dragons. You know, you have Dragossack and you have, you know, Lad, which, is a great combo, but this is, actually getting to it, 9 to however many rounds Nats is gonna be this year.
yeah, 50 rounds. Now there are a couple of rogue decks that have sort of, shown like people shown interest in. The first major one's Gravekeepers, because Gravekeepers have a pretty strong matchup against dragons. Necro Valley, and just kind of says no place for you. Um, what are you guys' thoughts on that? I mean, and I know it's like the Gravekeeper Turbo, but can that, even if it has a good matchup against dragons, and not a bad matchup against Spellcat, I mean, I guess, can that keep up with just everything else?
no.
Yeah, I don't see Gravekeepers doing anything this format. The only road deck I see, possibly doing something is Dark Worlds, and then it's gonna have Hell in the side deck. You
Jared,
know,
we're gonna have to talk to you later. Oh my
okay.
god, this Dark World deck. It's so gay.
Oh, best Dark World deck.
Best Dark World deck ever.
Oh, which one are you guys talking about? I
The
know they're
fucking
like,
advanced draw
oh
Zombie Stone
yeah,
Tachyon Dragon
I've
deck.
seen that. Yeah,
It's so stupid. What
Oh
are you
yeah,
gonna do?
So
oh yeah.
gay.
I haven't seen it, but I just been
I played
playtesting
against it and it sucked.
regular Dark Worlds. Like seriously, I have not lost a match on DN in the past 2 weeks. Just with regular Dark Worlds.
So with that said, I mean, can Dark Worlds? What are their chances at nationals? I mean, like, why
Well,
maybe Aaron?
except
Go
for
ahead.
themselves.
Themselves, yeah, that's
They're just gonna lose themselves like they always do.
always been a thing. Mason, I mean, do you think that they have a
Like Aaron said themselves, or a Jowgen will do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you could always summon Brow, but then you probably lost anyways.
It's usually true. I mean, there are a few others, like, Car Curry OTK is said to be like, I don't,
Jogging again is real.
yeah, that, I mean, but let's assume the Car Curry OTK player didn't really face many spells. So they only played like one spellcaster deck out of their 12 rounds.
I think we talk about the Earth Psychic deck too.
Yeah,
Okay, I
the
mean,
Earth,
yeah,
it's
but
not
they
psychic.
still have to go through that many rounds of um, dragon rulers where their effects can't activate, or if they play evil swarms, they really can't, get around Kirkion at all.
I think a budget player's best bet right now is to play any deck that can make first turn the Cherry Beast and back it up with traps.
Yeah.
Or they could play Infernities. I'm just throwing that out there.
Like if you play against Prophecy and you're playing something like the Karakuri Psychic deck, not the OTK, the regular
Mhm.
Karakuri Psychic deck, and you go
Mhm.
like you just go first turn fucking Maturity Beast with traps, you're gonna auto beat Prophecy.
Aaron, tell us a bit.
Maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's still like a good chance of you almost taking out behind that one too.
Yeah, but then they're not getting any pluses on their spell cards. Once they activate 4 spells, you just mill 12 cards and they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, tell us a bit about Infernity. I mean, that's something that's been topping a bit worldwide, a bit. How are those matchups?
Has a decent matchup against everything but dragons. And that's because of that stupid Steam.
So, I mean, like, it seems like there are a lot of rogue decks that could.
Constellar.
How are Constellars, guys?
It just
I
got
don't.
second place at Finland's Nationals like 2 days ago.
What is that? I mean, like, I know that it's. I mean, like, the thing that bounces seems to be, like, really strong. It actually seems like it does really well against dragons, surprisingly.
It cheats.
But, I mean, how does that do against, like, mermails and stuff?
TS, like, Mermail's a destroy, but nobody's playing Mermail, so it doesn't matter.
That's interesting. I'm just.
But Stias, like, rapes that deck. Because it's like, if you bounce a Stias, you just lost the game.
It's true. I don't know. I mean, and then are there any other rogue decks that you guys think could have even a possible chance at? I mean, besides Chainburn, but a
Oh,
possible chance at like somehow fighting back right now.
Don't give me no ideas.
I mean,
bad.
Chain bad. Like, so I suppose. Let's finish up by giving these decks sort of a ranking in terms of like what would be the best decision to you guys, like going to Nats. What would be the best choice to play? Mason, what would not any other player, but you take to Nationals, and why would you say is the best choice?
I've narrowed it down, and I'm either going to take Mermail or Evilswarm. But I'm feeling more Mermail because I don't want to call it a meta call because it's part of the big four, but you could kind of call it that because nobody's playing that thing, and the side deck's not set up to geared towards it. So like you could probably end up with some free wins out of nowhere by just OTKing them. They're just having to set up.
All right. Jared, how about you? Like you personally, what deck would take to Nationals, and why would you say it's got the best chances?
To be honest with you, I'm gonna give you two choices. One my choice and one a budget choice. If you don't want to spend some serious money. Uh, Mermails, just because, I've been playing them for a while. They have a great synergy. Now that you have title, you have more players open to you. There was a time when before title Mermails, you just ran out of steam. So now, you can just keep on just hitting and hitting and hitting for pretty good damage, and just actually go for game that way. I don't see it having too many just major weaknesses against any of the big decks. My budget choice is still gonna be Dark Worlds. This because like I've been playing them for about 2 weeks on DNN. They play great. True enough, you do have some bad hands, but that's when you just go into straight turbo to try to just get through that as quickly as possible to just completely take out your opponent.
All right, and Aaron, like you personally, not any other player, but you personally, what would you take to Nationals? Why would you say it's a good choice?
Out of the big four, bad. Don't say Infernity.
Okay, I'm about to say, does this involve me having money? If I had money, it'd
You have
be
two
prophecy.
choices like Jared did.
What'd you say,
Uh,
Aaron?
I'd choose prophecy
Oh, okay, this is interesting. Why would you?
because I'm an advantage player, so something with that much advantage is just really like shiny to me. And it has like Jaugen, even though there are ways around it in decks, it's still just probably one of the most shut down cards other than Ophion.
Right, and then so I guess what would your budget choice be? Infernity then?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that or no, yeah, Infernity.
All right. So, yes, I suppose this concludes our podcast.
Hold on, Paul.
Everybody.
What would you
Oh,
take?
oh, what would I? Oh,
Some lotion
ah,
in the camera.
that is what I would probably carry.
What would you?
Yeah, guys, if you guys see me there, that's the deck I'll be playing. But if I were going, I would like I would have said Prophecy like a month ago because like I think it's really sacky and broken. But if I were going like today, I would take either like I would take either Dark Worlds or uh uh dragons. That sounds like really cliche. The only reason I'd say dragons is because I mean like even though people say like it's it's linear and stuff, it's still a really good like I mean it's like it's the most like just it's like it like I don't know, it's just really solid. Like you can get a lot of free wins, just
Yeah, it does have. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does have a lot of solid plays. I'm not saying it's a
like
bad deck, but
I don't know, I mean I could just like I would take it because like I could be pretty sure that I'm never going into a matchup just completely outmatched.
yeah,
Like I don't
I,
know, I mean I could get free wins.
I would say you have to grind a lot more games than you would think you would have to with dragons.
But that's fine. I
You
mean,
will.
I love grind. That sounds bad. I love playing the grind game.
That sounds even
It's
worse, actually.
uh,
Wait till next format. You'll have your chance.
yeah. I mean, like I don't mind like having to play extended games with dragons. And I just think like I can handle those, and then I get free wins other times. But if I didn't have money, I would play Dark World because I think that the chances of encountering another Dark World deck are low enough to where the risk is worth it. So if I didn't have money, I would play Dark World. I don't know. It's my choice. And I'm sure there'll be the people who just take Chamber and Exodia or something. I don't know. I wouldn't take it, but
Yeah, they're good.
so I
It's just not
suppose
good at all.
that winds down the podcast. But viewers, what are your thoughts on Nationals 2013? Are you going to Nationals? What decks are you playing? Why are you playing them? And if you're not going to Nationals, your opinion doesn't really matter. So, I'm just kidding. What do you guys think will win Nationals? Leave comments down below. And if
And
you,
Paul, also a big idea to say when national is, just in
oh,
case.
for all of you who don't know, when is it's the July the
12th through 14th.
So
yeah
thank you.
12 through 3 or 4 days of your life. Yeah, so that concludes the podcast. Thumbs up if you liked it. Leave us suggestions for future topics. Subscribe if you liked it too. Share it with your friends. Download it and listen to it in your car or something. And this was, again, Aaron, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rocks 97, everyone's favorite, doesn't play meta but still wins kid.
Yeah.
And Mason, everybody's favorite, hate on his videos
I don't know
player.
why they hate on me.
Yeah, this is Mason. And Jared, who's also he's not even in our shop, but he still does podcasts with us. So thumbs up for that. And that concludes the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.